Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is a Saturday Morning Fragcast going over our E3 Roundup. I'm your co-host, Victor von Fragenstein.
And I'm Gapper.
And now we are moving on to Bethesda. Now, you're welcome to watch these, of course, in any order. We may make comments which seem out of context. If so, the video which came before this was the EA video. So, Bethesda, they've had an interesting year so far. I was really interested in seeing, because it seems like they've had a lot of big releases recently. And so I was expecting nothing but expansions, DLCs, and add-ons, but it looks like we've got some fairly good original stuff coming up.
They showed what I expected, and they showed stuff that I didn't expect.
Exactly, same thing. A lot of it was definitely expected, and a lot of it wasn't. The first thing I wanted to make a note is that if you are going to watch this one yourself, skip the little pre-show. I got really bored once they started talking about themselves, and there was a little. Someone had put the little timestamps on YouTube for it, so I just skipped
Morgan
ahead.
Webb and Adam Sussler talking about. I don't know. I tuned in right when it started, and I just saw the end of it. I'm like,
you missed about 15 minents of them just talking. Oh yeah, we've reunited again this year for this stuff. And it's like, you know what, guys, cool. You're good hosts. Don't get me wrong, but there's also that. Anyway, so moving on. First thing, which is probably what we're going to end up talking about the most, which looked very cool. I've got all my notes for this in one section, and that is Dishonored 2.
Yeah, Dishonored 2 looks pretty cool.
Looks very cool.
You can play as either of them.
You can play as either of them. I like the multiple characters. I'm embarrassed to say I still have not finished Dishonored 1. I believe, and you might have done the same thing, that last year at E3 they had announced like the Dishonored bundle was like $8 on Steam or something.
Yeah,
I think we both went out and bought it. I still haven't played it.
I haven't played it yet, but once I get my graphics card, I'm gonna run that thing on my new rig.
Yes.
And
for those who aren't aware, Gapper is in the process of ascending to the glorious PC Master weight.
Well, I'm everything.
We've built him a rig. He's in process, but it's still lacking the new 1080 graphics card. We're waiting for the.
Yeah, gotta get that, and then I'll be ready to go through and play my backlog of Steam games. So I'll be playing Dishonored, and all I know is the guy's name's Corvo. He's got a cool mask.
He's got some kind of cool supernatural. I played some of it. I haven't beat it. He's got supernatural powers to stab people. Basically, there's a lot of other things around it, but in the end, it basically comes down to either stabbing or setting up some kind of karmic death for them to fall off a cliff or something to fall off.
His abilities compared to her abilities, she looks so OP.
She looks OP. However, what's interesting is in the first game there was not a whole lot of expansion upgrade ability for his abilities. They mentioned repeatedly. They mainly focused on her, and I understand that because, of course, you've got this new character. You want to show her off, definitely. And she did look very cool. Don't get me wrong, but they did mention that all his abilities are now going to be upgradable, and I think that might make it so that there's more even. I really like the fact
mode or something.
Maybe I really like the fact that they focused on making the two characters distinct, because I understand it's a big popular thing these days, and it's a good thing that people want to be able to play as, okay, you can have a girl, you can have a guy, whatever. I'm cool with that, but I like that it's different. Now, the big question is, of course, is how long do you think it is before someone's going to claim it's sexist that she doesn't have his powers? I'd say someone's already done it by the time we're recording this.
Oh, I hope not.
That aside,
I don't like that kind of stuff.
I like varied characters, and they've said that the story, although it'll be the same, is going to be through the perspective of who you're playing. So they'll have different commentary and different points of view on it based on that. Some of the stuff just looks very cool, and this game
time travel kind of thing where it's like, I'm gonna go through time. I'm gonna stab this guy. Then I'm gonna come out of time. That guy's gonna run over in the other timeline. I can look through with my crazy wrist time portal thing, and I'm gonna stab him now. Yeah,
I'm gonna pop it behind him while he's looking at the dead body of the other guy. That just looks really cool, and that little shadow whip. Where you can pull people to you or fling explosives into people.
Or the domino. When she set them all up with domino, stun the one, stun them all, and then turned into a weird shadow creature and pulled the guy up. Oh.
It was very reminiscent of the darkness. She looks like the darkness meets Victorian steampunk.
Yeah. The whole world is very appealing to me.
It is. And they spent a lot of time talking about how they built on it, and I like that idea. Because only a AAA studio has the kind of budget to go through something like that, to say, okay, we care about, does this not only look cool, but does this business district make sense? Why is this shop here? Can the guy get to his home from it?
And it's like, what does this guard do in his off time? He plays cards with those other guards and the shopkeep. And they kind of got it all really well laid out.
Yep.
So.
Pardon that sound, by the way. We have one of my cats has decided to join us. We're just going to ignore her for the time being, and hopefully she'll be quiet. If it starts getting annoying, we'll make a brief cut and put her in the other room. Anyway, So what we're going to moving on. Bye, cat. It looks like that there's going to be some consequence from the choices, and I like that because I got spoiled on the first game. And minor spoiler alert to you who don't know, the ending you get is just based on how many people you kill. You kill more people, you kill too many, you get a worse ending. You kill less people to get the best ending. This one, it looks like it's more based on, okay, I chose to work for this guy or assassinate this guy instead. There's factions.
Choose who you want to support.
Exactly. And that, to me, makes much more sense to choose your ending based on that. Because, honestly, in a game that is fundamentally, let's be real, this game is fundamentally about killing people in very cool ways.
Yes.
This is what it's about. You should not be penalized for doing that. If
I think it would be cool to try to be all stealthy, but...
yeah,
I want to see what it's like to use my crazy powers to just slay a bunch of things.
Exactly. I mean, I want to sneak. I want to be sneaky and do some cool stuff. But at the same time, if I see some guy and it's just like, okay, I can whip that guy down from the top, kick him off the edge, and stab his buddy in the neck, I want to be able to do that.
You just be stealthy so you can get different opportunities, and then you pounce and you kill who you need to.
Exactly. And also they mentioned that the definitive edition right now
comes with that cool
comes with the cool mask. Sorry, no, that's the collector's edition. The definitive edition comes with a free copy if you pre-order it of the original.
Oh, yes,
so for those who have not grabbed it, it comes with the full DLC and it's the HD remaster, I believe, of the original. Yeah. I love it when companies do this because it's like, okay, that game really isn't probably making them much money anymore. Instead of trying to squeeze more money out of it, they're saying, listen, you want to play the second one, this is a good pre-order. I'm against pre-ordering games in general, but this is a good pre-order bonus. Pre-order this, you get the first one so you can beat it while you're waiting for this one to come out.
When I bought Dark Souls,
you
got Dark Souls 1 with it for pre-ordering it and buying it within the first week.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and that makes great sense.
I'll play it again because I already did play it, but it's kind of cool if you didn't play that, you can kind of see where it all started for Dark Souls 1.
Although it's a little different with Dark Souls because those games are only vaguely connected.
Yeah.
They're in the same world, but they're not like a direct sequel.
You can see how much harder it was compared to 3.
Yeah, exactly. But that aside, I think more companies should do that and say, look, this is a sequel to an older game. Buy the newer one, you get the older one for free. Because now you don't have to worry about, oh, am I going to like it? Oh, well, I'm going to catch up on the story and stuff will go along. So I think that's a really great idea. I put a note in at one point when the lady shot out the one guy's asshole. Like, that seemed an odd thing to put in the E3 trailer.
Yeah, no, I've seen that, and I just quoted Deadpool. I was like, oh, right up Main Street.
Yeah, right up Main Street, exactly. But yeah, it looks like it's very creative, and to me, it looks like, especially with what I've played of the first Dishonored, and especially looking to this next one, they are doing right what games like The Order 1886 got wrong. They are presenting this narrative experience, but they're making it about the player and his actions are what create this narrative experience. And they're not just trying to basically make a movie that has a few scenes in it. This, to me, is what a narrative-focused game should be like, a first-person narrative-focused game, in my opinion.
Yeah, let you make the decisions, not you just press a few buttons here and there in between all these cutscenes, and you don't really get a whole lot of say in what happens.
Exactly. And so I think it's much better to have that. Okay, it's a beautiful first-person game. The world is immersive.
It looks
and
great. Looks great.
Here's this world. Now go fuck it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I also put in, they mentioned it on the show, and I'm just going to say the city Karnaca. That does sound pretty awesome. It sounds like, can you picture like from Beavis and Butthead and being like, Karnaca, I am Cornolio.
There's lots of blood flies, they said.
Blood flies, yeah. Less rats, more blood flies.
Blood flies.
We'll see whether we like that trait or not. I really hope that if you haven't really played the first, you haven't seen it, but he gets like a rat swarm where he can summon rats on people.
Yeah, they mentioned that.
I hope he can get like a summoned blood fly swarm because that would be sweet.
That would be pretty cool.
Yes.
It's like
so
the flies from Diablo 2. Those ones really annoyed me in Act 2.
Yeah,
especially when they had the lightning. So if it could be something like that, decent.
Yeah, or from did you play BioShock Was it Infinite or was it BioShock 2? Where you had the bee
bees.
swarm,
Yeah.
you could send the bees. Yeah, or I think it was Infinite had the Raven swarm and 2 had the bee swarm.
Yeah, 2 had the bee swarm.
But yeah, that was pretty sweet. So, overall though, I am very hyped for this one. I haven't beaten the first, but I have enjoyed what I played of it. And I really think it not only looks great, but sounds great. Let's just hope that this beautiful E3 footage is not going to be downgraded too much. Yeah. However, those of us who are, of course, now part of the master race notice it usually stays where it is for us.
We'll make it look good.
Exactly. So moving on, we went on to Quake Champions. Now, I have mixed feelings about this. I am a Quake player of many years. I still play Quake Live online sometimes. I play Quake 3 Arena online with friends. And I feel that making it class-based is maybe a mistake. And it's odd to hear this. But, it is kind of the originators, really, of the multiplayer deathmatch gameplay.
They're just kind of following the trend now.
They are, and it seems odd because they've always been on point with innovating and making it. And it seems like odd that Doom, for example, which we'll get to later, but it was all about the single player.
Yeah,
right. The multiplayer really was lackluster. It wasn't bad.
I really did not enjoy the multiplayer.
No, it was
in Doom that much.
You play it.
I did have a few fun moments when I took down a Baron when he was coming at me, and I just meleeed him to death. But no, the single player was amazing.
Yeah.
Multiplayer was lacking, and I guess they're going to make their kind of class-based multiplayer.
And I almost thought,
I don't know. We'll see how it is, but I'm not too interested in it.
I'm not that interested in it, but I will think this is an interesting point to consider, especially because, of course, we didn't realize Quake Champions was coming out when Doom was released. It hadn't been announced yet. So I'm wondering if they kind of tacked on the Doom multiplayer and said, okay, listen, here's something, because our good multiplayer team is all... Because obviously this has been in the works for a while. It's fairly polished. This is not a new build.
The trailer looked nice.
So I'm wondering, maybe they've had all their multiplayer guys working on Quake Champions. And
hopefully
that's why the Doom multiplayer was so lackluster. And I'm hoping that's what it is. It looked like they had... I don't know if you're familiar with kind of the arena shooter stuff, but they had a little bit of Unreal Tournament in there, the more recent ones with that charge and teleporting and stuff. They had, a little bit of Doom-style stuff in there. So it almost looks like it's a mishmash of different
it looks
ones.
like it's going to kind of take everything and throw it all into one, have your heroes, and go at it and try to frag each other.
Yeah.
But, no,
so we'll see.
We'll see what happens. Right now, I'm not too interested until I can see some... I guess they'll probably show gameplay at QuakeCon.
I imagine so. I hope so.
I can see some gameplay and even just play a beta of it or something.
Exactly.
I'm not too into it yet.
Nope.
But I don't think I can be any more, I can't be disappointed with it. So if I just stay negative now, I can only be impressed.
Exactly.
So.
One thing I will say, and I hope they stick to this 100%, 120 hertz unlocked frame rates. If you're looking for a competitive arena shooter, that is what you want to see, because then they'll play smooth like butter. And that's what I want to see. That being said, we moved on. They had a little bit of a self-puffing speech about all the awards they've won.
Yeah.
And then we moved into Elder Scrolls Legends. So this has been in development surprisingly a long time
It's
for
been too long.
A card game.
It's been way too long.
Yeah.
They showed it at last year's E3.
They did. They didn't really show anything new this year other than the intro for the campaign either.
Yeah, no, they showed a little bit of it, and you know what? I'm more excited about Gwent.
Yeah, we'll get on to Gwent, but yes, I am definitely excited about Gwent.
It's okay, you got your 2 lanes. It's different from Hearthstone, but it almost seems like the game should have been out last year. If they had have got into the market sooner, I think they would have been better. It's just, again, it seems like they're just jumping on the bandwagon.
This does seem like they're playing catch-up.
Like card games now? Let's do card games. Yeah. And I remember last year they showed their third-person MOBA. They didn't show that this year at all.
No, so I don't know whether that's been
maybe
canceled
they canceled that, or because it didn't get very. I didn't think it looked interesting. Yeah. I don't think anyone was really too fond of it. So I feel like they're kind of playing a little bit of catch-up, but I think they just need to kind of just make their own thing. Just kind of come up with a new IP, get it out there.
Their own thing is what's been. Their own thing is what has made them stand out. I mean, let's look at. We'll get to it in a minute when we get to the Fallout Shelter. But I mean, Fallout Shelter was a copycat of 10 million other games. I use the term games loosely for mobile devices that was just a time suck and a wallet suck. Yeah. And that's it. And I know they say, oh yeah, it's completely free. All of them are quote-unquote completely free.
PC, though. Ooh.
And the PC. We'll get to that in a second. But my point is, that was them playing catch-up, and although apparently it got a lot of players and money, it was generic as hell.
Yeah.
Not all that interesting. The stuff they do that is their own is what makes them, in my opinion, a juggernaut there. So I need to see gameplay from this Elder Scrolls Legends. I mean, I watched a few other things. I watched Total Biscuit's video on it, where he talked about it a little bit, how he's played it, and he says it's a decent game and stuff. But you know what? A card game lives and dies on its mechanics.
Yeah.
Is it fun? Is it quick? You got to be quick if you're going to get that mobile market. People have to be able to play it in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So the campaign, yes, it's great because a lot of these online games leave out a campaign, these mobile games. But I got to see the gameplay. I can't. You got to stop teasing it. And it's a card game. So you know what? Show us a beta and you've got enough art assets from the Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
Just stick a random Argonian in as a placeholder and show us the bloody game.
For how long it's been in development, I know you don't just make a game overnight, but did they just come up with the idea right before E3 last year? Or
yeah, I don't know.
How far along were they? I'd like to know how far along they were last year and how far along they are now, because they just need to get it out there, and hopefully it can succeed. But I'm not really too interested in it personally.
Neither am I. It has not been good building up, and I've yet to see anything that sets it apart, because the visual they did show, it just looks like Hearthstone with 2 lanes. That's all I've seen. So again, I'm going to reserve some judgment, but hype on this one for me, very low.
Very low.
When it comes out, if it's free to play, I'll try it, but I'm not like, oh my god, I got to try this game. Unlike another card game, which we will get to a little later on. So moving on from that, we went into, I have put all of my notes for this game together, even though it was presented in several separate parts. And I did notice, I did not like what Bethesda did, where they had a lot of their games had 3 separate sections. Mm-hmm. They had a developer commentary at the very end where they did the interviews. They had a trailer near the beginning, and then in the middle they had someone come out and talk about it. Not only is this a bitch to make notes on, but it's like, you know what, if I'm interested in, say, Fallout 4, which is the next game we're going to talk about, I don't want to have to sit through 3 separate sections of Fallout 4. I just want it all together. Yeah. I understand the interview at the end had to be separate, but it didn't need to break it up so much. So on to Fallout 4, I think the big thing that everyone is going to be hyped about for this, and I'm honestly a little excited, is VR Fallout 4.
VR Fallout 4. I'm making a VR room.
Yeah, the VR room's coming.
I'm going to make a VR room.
So this to me, out of all the VR announcements for existing games, I think this is the best fit. Because Fallout 4, more than any other Fallout, and honestly a little bit to its detriment, was more about setting you in this world and letting you loose.
Yeah.
You know, the writing was not as good as other Fallouts. The storyline certainly wasn't as good as other Fallouts. But it was about setting you loose in this world, and I think VR is a good complement for that. To say, okay, now you're loose in this world, and that death claw is going to be in your face. You know what I mean? So I really...
Yeah, no, it's going to be, hopefully, should be good. And it's funny because not too long ago, we were looking at VR games on Steam together.
Yes.
And they just looked like worse than N64 games.
They look like, PlayStation, N64 era graphics.
It's like, okay, so we're going to go from, N64 graphics to all of a sudden it's like, boom, here's Fallout 4 and Doom.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I got a funny feeling that Fallout, and we'll get to Doom when we get to Doom, but Fallout was definitely, and maybe it'll run a little slower. I suspect they're not going to be able to pull, because VR, I believe, is most of the standards to operate is slightly better than 1080p and 90 frames per second. Given that most high-end PCs are going to be tough to push that in 2 monitors, seeing it in 2 frames in your eyes, I got a feeling maybe they'll sacrifice a little frame rate or the visual fidelity will go down a bit. But in the end, I think that'll be worth it for the experience of being in the world.
No, I would definitely be excited for that, and I'll be picking that up, and I can't wait for it. So
I'm looking for that. I hope it's just I hope it comes free to those who already own the game, and it's not some VR version you have to buy separate. That would be very irritating. But we've got a 2017, early 2017. They said for the Vive.
Yeah, for the Vive, and they're not putting it on Oculus because there's just nothing to. There's no controller for Oculus.
No, and I find it interesting how for Oculus, everyone has just jumped the fuck off the Oculus bandwagon. You have all these indie devs who developed for Oculus when it was the only VR system on the horizon, and now everyone's all about the Vive. Or
those controllers look amazing.
They're amazing.
I haven't used them personally yet, but I can't wait to get my hands on those controllers.
And I can't wait either because for those who don't know, although I have been building PCs for a while, his is going to be better than mine once he gets his new GTX 1080 in it. So I'm looking forward to that too. I can probably...
You can come over to the VR room.
Exactly. I'll probably be able to run a Vive off of my Titans, but his is going to be a little bit more up to date and modern and built for VR. So that being said, some of the other Fallout announcements. We announced another wave of DLCs. Now, two things I'll say about these DLCs, and the first is that I'm disappointed with the scope of them because they made a big deal about jacking their season pass price.
Yeah.
And I actually bought it. I
bought it before the price was jacked up.
Same thing. I had enjoyed it. A lot of people really didn't like Fallout 4 compared to others, and I don't think it's as good as 3 or New Vegas. But I really liked the game, and I had bought the season pass before the price went up, so I didn't care so much. Now that we know that there's only going to be 3 more DLCs, and there's only going to be one expansive DLC, I feel those who paid the extended price for the season pass are being ripped off. Because Fallout New Vegas...
Like, extra money for contraptions and stuff? Ugh.
Fallout New Vegas and 3 both had 4 extensive story expansions. So for previous Fallouts, we had these great story expansions, and now we're getting 2 story expansions, and let's be real, I've played through Far Harbor. It was maybe a large surface area, was not as extensive as previous ones.
I haven't played through it yet.
It is larger, certainly, than some of the other ones, but the amount of hours I spent in it was probably less than... You had mentioned Operation Anchorage.
Operation Anchorage. The pit was fun.
The pit was fun. And what was the one where you go to the island, where you get stoned on the fruit and then they cut a chunk of your brain out? I forget the name of it now. And then
those were really... Oh, and then the Mothership.
Mothership, yeah. And then for New Vegas, Old World Blues, the one where it was like all these classic sci-fi movie tropes and the professor who thought your fingers were penises and stuff. Like, that was great. So I feel like those people have been a little bit ripped off, and I've noticed this trend going on, and Fallout's been a big victim of it, of saying, look, it's more about the sandbox than the game.
Yeah. And well, I feel like they've put too much focus and development time on the settlement building, and I never really got into that.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't feel like going and grinding components and stuff.
Yeah.
Or leveling up my character to be able to get me more components.
Yeah, because you got to lose about...
On combat.
Yeah, you got to waste about 10 perks to really get good at building settlements. And the other thing is that I built one settlement, like I really customized it a bit, that Spectacle Island one, the one that's really big, just because it's basically the biggest one you can build. And most of them, I'm just like, okay, I put enough defense up so that it doesn't call me for defense against raiders every 2 minutes. And that's really all I did with it. And I feel this is a trend, and I love the guy, don't get me wrong, I follow him on Twitter and I chat with him occasionally, he's a cool dude. I love Notch, don't get me wrong. It's his fault. It's Minecraft. People said, oh look, Minecraft made billions of dollars. They didn't make a game, they made a sandbox and put people in it and let them do stuff. And I think all this is Bethesda saying, listen, let's try and tap into that a bit. Instead of being one guy in a Swedish basement or wherever he started, we've got a whole dev team. Let's see what we can do.
Like if I could build settlements with my friends and it wasn't so grindy to have to get materials, I'd be into it. But that's not why I bought Fallout 4.
Exactly. And why can't you send out a settler and say, listen, this settler, you're not doing anything, go find concrete. You go find nails. You go find steel. How hard would that be? So they've really wasted that opportunity. And I'm looking at the machines and I'm like, you know what? That machine's kind of cool. They got this little ball dropping kind of Rube Goldberg style. But then I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know what? That's going to be entertaining for a half hour at most. And then
I just don't care.
Yeah, and then it's done.
Making your own vault though, that's pretty cool.
That looked cool. It almost looks like they're bringing what Fallout Shelter, and I'm going to rip off Total Biscuit on this because I watched his snark video of this. That's what Fallout Shelter should have been in the first place, with an actual purpose, experimenting on your dwellers and doing all this stuff.
Like that'd be cool. You're like, oh yeah, we're going to experiment on this.
Yeah,
we can make that vault for that.
Exactly.
And you know what? With mod, I think if I was to go back and try to do settlements again, I think I would just make mods just to get as much materials as I could, because I don't have the time for doing that. I just either want to make something cool or play the main story game and do missions.
That's right. And that's the thing that Minecraft got right was, okay, If you want to build something, fine. Dig down, get some dirt, get some wood, and have at it.
Go to creative mode.
Right, or go to creative mode. And it was just an option right from the beginning. If you don't want to deal with creepers and flaming pigs and whatever else is going on, don't deal with it. Build, there's a guy who built the working scale model of the USS Enterprise. That one guy who's on the trek to the frickin' far lands. All that stuff. You know what? Cool. Do it. Have fun. But we didn't buy Fallout for that. That, to me, should have been the focus of a little expansion. You remember for Skyrim, they had that little Hearthfire expansion where you could build a house?
You could build your house.
Where it's a little addition to the game. It's not a big feature of the game. I feel like that's what they should have done with Fallout. They said, listen, here's this cool thing, build a settlement, but also here's an excellent game. And I'm sure people would have spent hours and hours building the settlements, but that's, again, not why I bought Fallout. I own a copy of Minecraft. I own Dwarf Fortress. I probably got 6 games I've got from the Humble Bundle that let you build things out of cubes or mine on planets to survive. So you know what? Give me Death Claws, give me aliens, and give me a coherent reason to kill them.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, what Fallout is about.
I know.
So, that being said, the console mods, though, coming to...
They're already out.
Mods, yes. Coming to PlayStation 4, though.
Oh, yeah.
Great idea. I'm glad to see that, because to me, for example, Skyrim, the game itself was great, but I've played through it. I do not need to play the base game ever again. I will probably never run out of ways to play that game because people are modding it. Someone is working on modding the entirety of Oblivion into Skyrim. Someone else is working on modding the entirety of Morrowind into Skyrim. So that's the kind of thing that those kind of mods can bring to a game. I'm very glad they reversed. There was that big hullabaloo about how they were going to start charging for mods on Steam. Yeah. I'm not against the concept of a paid mod because sometimes people put hundreds of hours of work into these. But on the other hand, I am very happy that they've decided to remain free because the fact of the matter is, let people donate to the mods if they want to.
Yeah.
But you're going to make more business from people getting the mods for free and buying the game because of it than you are from paid mods, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I'd rather pay for something like having Oblivion Skyrim than horse armor.
I agree 100%. I think Bethesda is trying to forget about that horse armor, and let's be honest, they haven't pulled anything like that since, to my knowledge, to which I'm very pleased with. Moving on to Fallout Shelter.
What about the remastered, though?
Oh, the the Skyrim remaster?
Skyrim remaster.
All right. Well, that's on my next page anyway, so we'll get to that. Great idea. For those of us on the PC Master Race, again, don't like to sound like that asshole because I do own consoles too. Don't get me wrong. But we're not going to notice a difference. I'm sorry, we've had HD texture packs for a while.
Yeah.
For those of you who bought it on console, however, or are just getting into it now, it's going to look gorgeous. It was an already pretty gorgeous game. And to be honest, it looks like they've really put some good work into it. The water and the lighting looked especially...
I think I'll probably just buy the regular game on PC and then just get some mod packs. And then I guess, I don't know on the exact timelines, but if you buy it now, you're going to get the new one for...
Correct. So for those who who have Steam, I don't know if it's on any other platforms, but I know it's going to be on Steam. The Legendary Edition, when not on sale, I believe is $25, which gets you the base game and all the DLCs. Well worth it on its own. Buy it now, or better yet, if there's a Steam sale, buy it. Because I got my Legendary, I used to have it for PlayStation 3. I got my Legendary Edition for $8 on PC, and now I'm going to get the HD remaster for free. Even on the Xbox Live Store and PlayStation Networks. I'm not sure what the PlayStation Network store is called. I believe you can get the
PSN.
The PSN store. I believe you can get the Legendary Edition for under $30. So I would go for it and then just get the free upgrade when it comes out, even if you're not going to play it now. Because I guarantee that they're not going to keep the pricing on that low. Otherwise, they'll never... Unless they're just planning to sell the extended edition for cheap. I don't know. But
yeah, we'll have to wait. I think they would probably pay full pop for it when it comes out, so... Maybe they're, just trying to entice people to buy it now.
Though I'm going to take that back for a second, because if I remember correctly, they said only PC people get it for free.
I don't know how they would be able to, I guess with backwards compatibility on Xbox, but I have a disc of it. I would have to buy a digital, I just don't think it would work on PlayStation and Xbox for it, and I don't think they mentioned it, so...
Anyway, great idea, though. Skyrim is one of those games that's just got legs because you can load it up after not playing it for 6 months and play for 100 hours if you're not.
Yeah, and anyone's going to have mods for consoles.
Exactly. So, beautiful.
But I think I'm going to get it on PC because I'd rather have way better mods.
Oh, yeah. You can get... I got 300 hours out of that game before mods. After mods, I could top 1,000 without a problem. Because again, they're putting whole other games into it by mods. Fallout Shelter, briefly touching on it. Apparently 50 million players, which is more than the combined total player count of all their Fallout games. That's staggering to me for such a basic game. Now here's the thing. I am one of those 50 million players. Yep. And I think they're counting all the people like myself, and probably Gapper as well, who got it, played it for a month, and then have never touched it again since. Because the game was just so bare bones after that. And I think...
I actually deleted it off my iPad the other day.
There you go.
Actually, right before the conference, I deleted it because I had to get a new app for a tabletop game I play. And I didn't have the space, and I made the choice to cut it.
Fair enough. And this is the thing. I haven't played it. Once you get up to the point where you've got the Nuka-Cola bottling plant or whatever, it's like, okay, I can send my guys out for new weapons and outfits, but I don't care. I really don't. So it looks like they're adding some quests and actually making it into now a game instead of just a time suck.
Yeah, no, it actually looks a little more interesting.
So I'll probably load it back up. I got a funny feeling I'm going to play it an hour a day for a month again at most, and then it's going to be gone. But hey, you know what? As long as they keep it free, and they actually did a pretty good job of making it free.
I never did spend any money on it.
No. So as long as they keep that, you know what? Power to you. And if you're making money off that, which you're going to use to channel into more Fallout games and use as budgets as other games, great. Have at it.
Yeah, no, awesome.
Keep it up. Right. So moving on from then, we already covered the Skyrim. So Prey, which Prey 2, Prey Remake, Prey...
It doesn't have anything... Wasn't that a game already?
It was. I think it was about 10 years ago. It was on Xbox and PC. I think it was Xbox 360.
It was on 360.
And it was like a first person. I think you had like tomahawks and like it was Native American themed.
Well, you were Native
fighting
American,
monsters in space.
By aliens.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know if it shares anything other than the title with this game. Don't get me wrong. The game looks cool. I like the look of survival in a space station because honestly, I am sick, and I'll get to this when we get to other games later, sick to death of post-apocalyptic survival. I like the idea of survival.
It's past.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, it looked interesting. I liked what I saw, and there's some weird shadow creatures. And
yeah, it looked creepy, and the kind of mental thing where he's waking up and his eyes getting more and more red,
and it's just kind of like a whole Groundhog Day feel. It's just there's this thing over and over and over. It's what's going on? I want to know more.
Exactly,
I would love to know more about that game.
So, assuming that those scenes, some of them we saw looked like they were in engine, those looked good.
It looked really good.
It looked really good. However, if it's all just cutscene fluff, who knows? We'll have to see. I'm intrigued, though. We'll look at this one more as it comes out. So, moving on to what may be my game of the year this year, as long as you ignore the multiplayer, and that is Doom. So, just for those out there, I've been a PC gamer to a more or lesser degree, not the degree I am now, but I have played games on PC since I was approximately 8 years old, when I believe I started with Nibbles, that little game with the snake that goes around and eats the numbers and gets longer and longer each time. There was that and the one where the apes threw bananas at each other and you had to do the trajectory. And that's what I started with. And I've been a PC gamer since then. So Doom for me has a special place in my heart because I have sunk many, many hours into Doom and Doom 2. Notice how I didn't mention Doom 3 because I played it for a little bit and did not like it very much because it was basically Resident Evil in space. And then when this came out, I was so like, we were both kind of like, okay, this is going to suck. This is going to be the most overhyped, crappy piece of trash ever. And if we were to look at only the multiplayer, it still is overhyped. I don't think it's trash, but there's nothing in it that isn't done by someone else better.
I just didn't. Yeah, it was just kind of just too much like other things. Didn't diversify itself for the multiplayer. Yeah, I just did not enjoy it that much.
Not at all. Again, not terrible, but I played it and I said, you know what? I'd rather be playing Battlefield or I'd rather be playing. Well, you know, whatever else. For the arena-style Quake was still a million times better, etc.
I just didn't...
It was just whatever.
I played maybe 6 games in a row, and then I was just like, I'm good. Yeah. Like, I'm good with this now.
Yeah, exactly. I don't feel the need to pick it up again. However, the single player was surprisingly fucking insanely good. It blew my mind that someone in modern times made this game, because this is the game I have been crying out for in my dreams for the last probably 10 years.
It was so good.
You run around as, and the best part is that there is actually a story to it. And if you follow the story, spoiler alert, you're actually, as far as I can tell, the original Marine from the first games who's been sealed in a coffin in hell. And the demons actually have like a mythology about you being this crazy fucker who comes in and kills everyone.
Slayer tomes, and they talk
about how you came in and just crushed everyone in the past.
And then at the start, there's no talking, but you just know you're mad at people.
Yes, exactly.
You're smashing, punching everything.
For him not saying a single word, more character oozes out of this Marine than many characters who have hundreds of lines of dialogue. Yeah. You know he is not happy to be doing this again. He does not like the people he has to work with. He is just pissed off. But for those who haven't played it yet, and you really should, but it's fun to watch on YouTube too if you haven't. You run around at 95 miles an hour, up, down.
Going from that game to like just another shooter I was playing, I felt so slow.
You feel like you're wearing concrete shoes.
Because you're so fast.
Yeah.
You're jumping around, glory killing, blowing things, chainsawing things. It's just like, okay, yep, I come into this room, here's all these demons, annihilate them,
kill them.
Oh, it's just
huge variety of weapons, an upgrade system that does not detract from the game at all. You could play the whole game without upgrading once and you still have a blast, but you get to do really fun stuff if you upgrade things too.
I love my shotgun grenade launcher.
Yeah, exactly. I love the shotgun grenade. I actually like the turret, the chain gun that makes it have 3 rotating chain gun barrels.
Yeah, that one was
and you
fun.
pull it out. That was fun too. So overall, just a blast to play.
Plasma rifle heat wave.
Plasma rifle heat wave. I actually went with a stun bomb.
I went stun bomb at first.
Yeah.
But then I was just like, no, heat waves killed so many more guys.
There you go. But that's exactly what the best part of this game is. It is about killing demons. Nothing more, nothing less. But it does it in such a fantastic and fun way. And the best part is that it's great for players of all skill levels. You can tone down the difficulty, and if it's your first time playing a first-person shooter, you're going to have a blast. Crank it up to Nightmare and Ultra Violence, and you're also going to have a blast.
Yeah, I played Ultra Violence my first playthrough.
The only thing I didn't like, honestly, was the boss battles. I found that
the final boss battle was a little
the
lame.
final boss and the Cyber Demon.
Oh yeah,
were both
I was texting you when I was fighting him.
Yeah, because you're basically just circle strafing and jumping over his things, and that's all that you. Really
it wasn't the Cyber Demon; it was the next one,
the Hell Knight or the Hell Guardians, whatever they are.
Because he had that stupid shield, and I was just like, "This is dumb." And then you beat him, and then it's like, "Oh, there's 2 more of these assholes." And I didn't enjoy that. If we went back to the text log, you can tell my rage emotions when I was doing those boss fights.
It's odd that the epic boss fights were less fun than just a big open area full of demons everywhere. But anyway, we'll both love the game. Get it. It's worth it for the single player campaign. And honestly, if you don't own any other multiplayer games, the multiplayer isn't bad, especially with Snap Map, because some of the stuff you do in there is cool.
Yeah, we played some great Snap Map stuff, and I think as the community grows and people just put the time into making Snap Maps, you can make your own story in game, and it will be co-op, and it looks great. And they're adding on more tools to Snap Map.
Well, that's the good thing I think about this update is I think they have made a big mistake though in focusing on the multiplayer for the DLC, because no one wants to pay money for more Doom maps. Especially when we can make our own in Snap Map. But that aside, what's good is that they are adding new functionality to Snap Map, because I've heard a lot of people who really have dived into it have found it very limited.
Yeah.
However, that being said, what you need is a solid single player expansion. Give us another 6 to 10 levels. Give us another epic boss or 2, and ones that aren't just circle strafing around people. And I would be good with that. As it is, I am not buying this DLC. I'm not buying the season pass because I have played maybe an hour multiplayer in that game.
I am not interested in buying it myself either. Yeah. You know what? And I would be fine with DLC for more campaign, more single player, because I really don't want to have to wait years for to continue the story.
Yeah. And the other thing is things that are that are changing the game. So more guns. More, more options. They are adding in Classic Deathmatch, which I think is good, but that's just a free update. I don't think it's part of the DLC.
The game modes were free, the maps were paid.
Yeah, and honestly, in a game where A, you can make your own maps, and B, the multiplayer is really lackluster, that seems to me like a poor move. However, I will say that they probably had this planned from 6 months ago, and hopefully by the time the next couple DLCs roll around, they'll now have listened to feedback and said, oh, the single player is what people really like. Maybe we should focus on that. Also, they're putting out a free demo for this week only, I believe. I think, honestly...
Yeah, first level.
First level. Why not do that permanently. I don't understand that little intro scene. I think that's just the one where you get the shotgun and the pistol, and basically all you're fighting is imps and zombies. I don't see why you shouldn't do that forever, personally, because that will give you a great taste of the game.
It would easily sell you more copies.
You're going to sell a ton of copies.
Like, hey, I'm not too sure about this game, and play that level. Oh,
yeah. Anyone who thought this is overhyped, there's no way it's this much fun. This game personifies, it puts the game in video game.
Yeah.
There is none of this pretentious stuff people talk about how my video game is a piece of art. This is a piece of art in the same way that frickin' throwing frickin', if you tied up a bunch of water balloons and shot them with a machine gun and they had paint in them, it would give you that kind of art. But fuck, is it fun to do?
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. So yeah, hoping they move on to more single player for the expansions in Doom. Other than that, not much. Elder Scrolls Online, haven't played it. Same thing I said at last year's E3 thing.
I played the beta.
Yeah, it did not inspire me to play. No. Same thing I should say, I did play the beta as well. Did not inspire me to play the game. Apparently
it looks fun. It looks cool. I would kind of like to play it, and I tried to play during the free week or weekend when they were trying to have the million player thing.
Yeah.
But I couldn't log into my account, and I had no idea what my username or anything was, so I couldn't get back onto it. Yeah. But no, it looks like fun. But my thing is, I'm sure it's making the money and all that, but I would wish they'd just take the time and just make a new Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah, to be honest, same thing. And the thing is that I suspect it's in the works. Because I think Skyrim was 4 years in the making or something. So I suspect this is just a matter of, again, this is Bethesda chasing after, MMOs are big.
MMO, card game, MOBAs.
And yeah, I think that some people just need to understand that certain things need to be left to certain people. Just because someone else did it doesn't mean you should do the same. Do what you're good at.
From the crowd's reaction, though, it seems like they have a very, very good community.
I agree.
They're really into it. And, they announced some pretty cool things. So with they got the Dark Brotherhood DLC coming out. And then they also announced, which I don't know how I would feel about it if I was a veteran player of the game, but as someone who might want to maybe get into the game, they're taking away levels pretty much. Yeah. You can just go into whatever area, you can fight stuff, you can play with your friends, you can go in the DLC, and you're not going to be at a disadvantage. I think that's great, but if you were someone that you were to grind through everything all this time, and it's just well, now someone can just show up and fight this, it kind of takes away from the old veterans of the game.
It does.
I think it's great for getting new players to come into the game. That made me want to play more.
Yeah.
Then I'm just like, if I meet some people or a friend of mine, I know a couple of friends of mine have it, I could go play with them right away. And
I agree. Well, that's what keeps me out of MMOs for the most part. The only MMOs I play are kind of your free online ones, usually that do not require a lot of grinding to get into it. And this is what keeps me out of MMOs. If the game's not fun until I play 50 hours to catch up to my friends, that's keeping me out of the game. And Bethesda's in a bit of a unique situation in here, too, is that they're behind a paywall. Blizzard is basically the last person who can get away with, okay, you have to pay for the game, you have to pay for the expansions. I think Bethesda's already at a disadvantage because of that. So I think this will be a great way for them to say, listen, you're going to drop, let's say base game plus expansions is $80 or whatever. You should not have to grind 50 hours to play with your friends. Yeah. Get into it. At the same time, you do got to keep rewards in place. But it's one of those things where I wonder their business model. Blizzard is obviously basing their business model off of repeat subscribers. Most games base their business model now, of course, off of microtransactions. So maybe Bethesda is thinking, listen, it's okay if a few people drop out because of this, because we're going to sell an extra 100,000 copies, and we're going to make more from that 100,000 copies than we would have from the people who stopped paying the monthly fee. So it's an interesting business equation. I think, though, this is very player-centric, and in the end, if the business decisions result in more players playing, I think that's the better choice to go. That gives you a better community, and again, this is how I would get into it. I'm never going to get into World of Warcraft again. Okay? I think you tried sometime last year or something.
Yeah, I tried, I guess, was when the Garrisons came out. I tried going back to it, and I was just like, I can't do this.
And that's the problem.
It's tempting. They send me emails all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, want to come back? 7-day trial.
7-day trial.
Come back. But it's like, no thanks, but no thanks.
That's the problem. I'd have to grind all those 7 days before I could even be competitive anymore. And that's the barrier to entry to these. And I think that this may be a good way to try and get past that and say, listen, come play the game. It's fun now. It's not fun in 30 hours. It's not fun in 40 hours. It's not fun in 2 weeks. So that's good. So that pretty much ties up.
You know what? Maybe once I get the computer up and running, maybe I'll give it a try for a bit just to see what it's like, just to kind of get the lore from the game at least.
Yeah, I've always loved Bethesda's lore about their games. I actually own physical copies of the Skyrim. They released books, and the physical book has all the books from Skyrim in the book. So I actually own a physical copy of the books in Skyrim.
The Lusty Argonian.
Yeah, it's got the Lusty Argonian maid, and it's got the biography of Berenzia and the real Berenzia biography or whatever, and all that stuff. So it's all.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. I found it for like $8 somewhere or something. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting this. But yeah, so I would get into that too because the Elder Scrolls is a very cool universe.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I think that pretty much ties it up. So overall, not an amazing showing. Almost entirely expansions, with the exception of Dishonored and Quake. And really, there wasn't a whole lot about Quake and Prey. Same thing. Quake and Prey, very little. Nothing there. Teasers, basically. So, looks good. However, I appreciate Bethesda. They tend to take their time. They end up with a lot of glitches in the open world games, even though they take their time, but they do tend to take their time. I prefer the Blizzard development cycle, Bethesda development cycle, where we're going to take a long time, but it's going to be a quality product, as opposed to the Ubisoft. We're going to pump out an Assassin's Creed every single year, and it's going to be garbage after the first one.
So done with Assassin's Creed.
Anyway, I think that ties that up, so we are going to break here. Thank you again for listening.
Thanks for listening.
I'm your co-host, Victor von Fragcast.
And I'm Gapper.
And I forgot to mention in the last one, but if you did enjoy it, please feel free to mash that like and subscribe button. Everyone seems to say that these days, so I'm saying it to you. And if you really hate us, then fucking hit the dislike button too. That's fine, because I dislike you too.
Write me in comments, because I'll read them maybe.
Yeah, maybe, sort of. Anyway, we'll catch you on the next one. Next up, we are going to be looking at Microsoft. See you on the flip side.